Yes, John Knob.
John Up, John Up B, I guess it is.
How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Let's kick it. Let's kick it. Hey, G's, how we doing? We are back with another podcast 53, and we've got a special guest with us. We've got Jonab, not John Knob, even though there's a capital B at the end of his name. How you doing, G? Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello all. It is Jono B. I'm from the Netherlands. I guess a solo entrepreneur right now. Father of 3. Recently joined the real world, which has been an eye-opener for me, to be honest.
Nice. So you're relatively new here.
I would say so. So I joined once. I have to say this, I guess. I joined once in January this year. It was too much for me to grasp all of it there was. And there were also a lot of things in my businesses going. So I guess I just stopped that. But after still going in the emergency meetings, about 3 months ago, I rejoined, and I rejoined fully with full attention. And it has paid off already.
Nice, which is great to hear. So let's talk about your first experience in the real world. What happened? Where did you start? What kind of led you to say, you know what, I'm going to kind of exit this? Let's start with that.
Well, I guess I didn't really start, which was the problem. I don't know where the real world was at that time, but I never even got around to understanding what GM was for, you know? And if you don't get to that stage, I guess I didn't commit enough. I'm not sure why. I had a few people I know I had to do a lot for, so a few clients, and there was a lot on my mind at that time. So I guess this wasn't a priority, which is a shame because I wish I've been here for a year now. That would be great.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that if you don't immerse yourself in the actual learning and actually start taking action, like you'll never really reap the rewards and benefits. And I think this happens to a lot of students, which is genuinely a shame. But then you turned it around, you decided to get back in. What enticed you to get back in? Like what element of the emergency meeting? What happened? What made you say, you know what, fuck it, I didn't try as hard last time, let me go ahead and give it another go?
I think it was because of it felt like all my businesses were steady. How do you call that? It wasn't stagnation, that's the word. Exactly. I understood very well that isn't the place I wanted to be. So decided to try it out again. I'm not sure which part of which emergency meeting it was, but I know I've been here now from October 16th. So maybe I could watch back what emergency meeting was there. But it's just the brothers. They just, keep you involved in everything in the world. And it feels real. And the realness incites me to go back again, I guess.
100%. And a lot of people fail to realize this, but we do genuinely move at lightning speed compared to most other educational platforms. Most people out there in the business realm, they're nowhere as ahead as the students here who are paying attention and actually implementing things. So let's get into like the work that you're doing. So tell us a bit about your business pre the real world, and then we can move into kind of like how you've implemented things, what you're currently doing now.
It's so complicated, but I have done so much different things to trying to earn a buck online. I guess it started around 10 years ago. So actually, one of the first things was a YouTube channel, which ties in with this campus great. It was a YouTube channel, a gaming YouTube channel, but just the gaming. Nothing, no edits, well, of course I cut it a little bit. But yeah, that was 10 years ago. So it's just gameplay, just that.
Nice.
And
as you know, I'm a bit of a gamer.
Well, it were mainly the main category was GTA, to be honest. Nice. I got to admit, and old school like San Andreas and Vice City. And then I moved on to other games for PS2 as well. But funnily enough, I made another YouTube channel of another YouTube video of this recently for my personal YouTube channel. I went in the data, and it's old. It's an old channel, but it's now at $12,000, and I did it nice. 10 years ago. It's still running. So it's fine. It's
and what's the channel about, if you don't mind me asking?
No, it's just gameplay. That's the channel.
Oh, right.
It's just that.
Right, so you're still getting something from that, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's 10 years ago, maybe a bit less. Maybe it's like 8 years ago. I'm not sure.
And it's good to see that, right? Like, because that's perfect evidence of like, you start a personal brand or you start some type of channel doing something you enjoy and you don't necessarily see the rewards straight away. But like you've come back to it and it's like, oh my God, actually, now I'm actually seeing some revenue from this, which is good. Are you continuing that or?
No, it's been.
Was it looking at it and saying, oh shit, here we go again?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure how many times I've heard that phrase while playing. But it's funny to wander off a bit. I actually wanted to do that because I didn't want to feel useless playing games, which for me now is really logical to do. But back then, I was like 18 years old, I guess, 17 when I started. That. I didn't want to game because it felt useless. I wanted to do something with it. So I just hooked up the Elgato and gameplay capture, just throw it on YouTube, just every mission I put online. But yeah, that's where it started. That's really, really old. And yeah, that carried on like a few years while I was working for bosses, just the normal 9 to 5. So I've worked at a pawn shop, I've worked at a supermarket, I've worked at installing televisions. And this YouTube channel always kept going whilst I was doing that. And I remember one time showing one of my colleagues that I had a €600 month on that YouTube channel. And it's strange that it's even possible. And I was already not doing anything for it anymore. But I just kept looking at the analytics. But yeah, it's funny how I already then had the feeling of not being useless, even when living with my parents still.
So what has that transpired into now? What does the business model look like now?
Yeah, that's really different. So after that, well, I stopped that YouTube channel for a while, and then I tried, whilst I was working for installing televisions and audio installations, I was doing that and carrying washing machines up the stairs, which is horrible. So it's like an consumer electronics store, right? I was working at and delivering those things and installing it. While I was doing that, I took the knowledge I had from that and turned it into a blog. Really boring, right? Just writing on the computer, blogging. That's really interesting as well because after, I guess, 9 to 11 months, that was generating €2,000 a month, just a blog. From AdSense, just advertisements, just informative, right? So I needed to study SEO, how all those things work. I got the blog on first page for a lot of keywords and just implemented affiliate links and advertisements on there, which is mainly what I did for around a year, 1.5 years. So while I was working, carrying washing machines and televisions and installing them, I created that blog. And from that blog, someone reached out to me and said, that's really interesting what you've did. And maybe you can come work for us. We need some help with marketing. Of course, I was interested. Well, I got on the phone and then came by. It was COVID back then, beginning of COVID. So I put on the mask before entering and they told me, take the mask off, you're stupid. Then I took it off, went to the interview. And then I know everything was okay. And I explained what I can do for them, just also writing the content, which is more for the copywriting campus maybe, but haven't touched that. But yeah, so I just went writing for them and then started to do some more of the marketing aspects because it was a starting company. And I became one of the lead people there eventually, doing conversion optimization, being like a manager type of the SEO team eventually, all because of that one blog that I've created in my spare time while carrying the washing machines, and that now turned into like a portfolio of content websites, so multiple of them. And that's also now I've used a lot of, because of you, thank you Pope, for ChatGPT 4.0 courses. I now only use that for my blogs and they still generate a lot because of my SEO knowledge. I combine that with ChatGPT and I still get first page rankings instantly, which is great. So that has grown to a portfolio of websites. But also while I was working in the office for helping with marketing, also created my own e-commerce stores because I understand the SEO game of the e-commerce marketplaces. So I never used a dollar or a euro or a pound for ads, but I understand the organic reach I can get on the marketplaces now. So now I'm an expert at that and also helping clients to do that.
Brilliant.
So now I have that store. It's fine. It's going. I don't even really touch it anymore. But I did some enhancements with your teachings, video creations or video editing, which helped me a lot also for my personal brand for YouTube. And I also used a bit of ChatGPT for that as well to improve just the content mainly. Just the product content on the e-commerce stores.
And I feel like you've almost done the reverse side of it, right? And I think this is a lot with students. So like the vast majority of people go down like they see content creator or content creation as I need to build my own brand, which is the most difficult thing, right? Because like you've probably experienced now, like once you get a client, that's immediate money. So looking at those two things, in your mind, do you believe that like you probably should have went down like trying to obtain the clients first to get money in, or are you okay with like, okay, you went through that kind of slug grind of building different brands, stores and stuff like that?
Well, now I'm at a point where I don't want any more clients because it may sound ridiculous. But it takes a lot of time, a lot of communication, a lot of effort to retain a client. I know I can do the job for them, but I also want to spend time other things, right? So I see a lot of people a few people with great YouTube channels, which are, without face and, faceless channels, just shorts channels. That will be way more interesting now to me because it will save a few headaches that I get from clients, and just the e-commerce stores are also a bit of a headache sometimes because I still pack the products myself. So I'm sorry, I forgot your question.
I was just wondering, like, from your perspective, like, do you believe that if you first started out as in content creation, would you have went down the business to business route, the route that I pushed forward, or would you still have gone down the building a personal brand first?
Depends what you want and what kind of time you have. If you want immediate money, like let's say you want 1 to 10K first the client route is the best route, I guess. It's the fastest. You can immediately get paid. But when you're first starting off, you have to learn that process as well, right? So how to keep in contact with them, how to manage the clients. You have to be kind to them. You have to do everything you can to retain them.
Yeah.
So that's also a learning curve. But it's also, I started with that as well, when I came to the realization that I needed clients to get out of my 9 to 5. So I just started while working. I already had the e-commerce business, already had the blogs, but I wanted more security for when I was leaving the job. So I went to reach out to clients, and the first one was horrible. He didn't pay, and I went to him and he was fine in person, but he was like a normal retail store, not really used to the online environment. So that was a horrible experience, but I learned from it. He paid a little bit, so it's fine. I got some euros from it. And I just continued that. Also searched on the online platforms to get some clients. Just to email reach out everywhere I could see, I can find. I was finding problems in the content or in the SEO aspect of it, and just emailed them, and some of them came back, and then they became my client. So it's funny, the moment when people come to a call with me or I can visit them to talk to them, usually they will accept my offer and they become a client. So the moment you get a positive response, you really have to dive into it and go to response immediately, reply immediately, and then you will get the client.
which is good, which is genuinely good. So the 21K, is that the makeup from clients, or is that your brand income as well?
Well, I haven't really looked at the exact details, but it's a portion of it, I guess. 20% of it is e-commerce, I guess. It's just from the upgrades I did. At least I tried. But it's hard to calculate that, right? Because I already had a few products.
Yeah.
When I understood your prompting game, and I really dove into that, so immediately got the subscription. Never really got around to it or didn't feel like doing it. Now I really felt like doing it. So I learned OpenAI features, and I implemented what I thought was winning for all of my products. Got a few interesting, how do you say that, pictures of a product within some type of environment. We have a special word for it here, but I don't know in English. But so the really beautiful images with a lot of surroundings as well of the products. I used a lot of DALL-E for that, to be honest. And that worked as well. I think 50-60% is from clients now. And then the rest is like the stable content informational websites. So
Nice.
that is now also all ChatGPT. Oh, and I also saved around 500 euros for getting rid of a copywriter.
Which is always good, right?
Which is also a win. Yeah, it's a win, but I cannot post it. So
yeah, AI is the future.
it's a
You
saving.
should start taking that into account, right? Like where students actually reduce their outgoing kind of expenditure because of some of the lessons and information that they've learned. That could be interesting. Anyways, so what does the future look like?
I'm not sure. I'm now at a point, so being in the real world really helped me to get out of the stagnation. So now I also, because of your Find Clients course, I also went ahead and got more clients. I don't know why, but I still did it. So I got 2 clients in 2 extra. They're both 1,000 plus, 2 extra clients. Now I'm really trying to kind of automate that process because they're new, so I really have to contact them a lot. But for my experience, that will become less. We just have to just work on the relationship, and when they have full trust in me and I can provide enough for them, provide enough results for them, then usually the communication goes down to a few times a month. And I can just work on other things. So now I'm focusing on that, trying to sort of automate the process around the new clients because everyone is demanding something else. And when that's settled, so I would say around 2-3 months, I want to do some more of my personal brand YouTube creation. Also started another YouTube Shorts channel. But it's more of my portfolio shorts. So for current clients, I now try to create videos as well without them even knowing. So I create a video of their products or whatever I do for them and just send it to them. Look, I can create this now. And some of them are really positive. The other ones are just like, I don't need videos, I'm good. But I'm also trying to keep up the reps in video editing for myself. Yeah, just trying to implement everything everywhere, which it's a bit blurry, foggy for me. I'm not sure where I'm going, but I'm trying to do everything for everyone and trying to make everyone happy, including my wife.
That's the most difficult out of all the clients.
It's true.
I know.
It's true.
So brother, tell me something, right? Like I feel like you're in a scenario where you need to scale, but from a team building aspect. Are you planning to build a team, or is it something you just want to stay as a solo opener and just continue on the route that you're on?
It's interesting, right? Because I do have some people that I work with. I have some other freelancers, but they're also still in their 9 to 5 doing work for me outside of that. So I feel like when I would employ them full time, it would be really helpful. But then I would get my own extra burden of 2, 3, 4, 5K a month that I need to pay them. And when they work for me while they are working 9 to 5 for someone else, they don't really have that fire in them, right? That fire to really go 100%, do everything it takes for the clients. So that's troubling for me, I guess, to maybe find good people to do the things I can do. I'm not sure which route I will take yet, because then you have to manage people more. I'm not sure if that's the correct way to do it in my scenario. So now I build everything from my home. I want to keep it that way. So I will never get an office. Well, maybe someday for other people, but I won't be there, because now I can get to see my children grow up. And it's really important. I have 3 small children, so I need to be in their life right now. I feel like, it's my opinion. So I don't think I will. I think mainly I need to find more income streams that require less work. That's really easy to say, right?
100%.
But yeah,
Honestly, managing teams is genuinely difficult. I think I've got around about a staff of 100 at the moment, and sometimes it does get overwhelming. It genuinely does.
Well, I've seen it in the offices where I worked, and I hated the people there. Not the bosses. I love the bosses because I could talk to them on the same level for some reason. I don't know why, but they also felt it with me. I still go out to eat with some of my former bosses because we're on the same kind of mental level. But all the other people, I couldn't get the fire I had even working for bosses. I really want to get money for the business while I was employed there as well. But no one really seemed to have that. So yeah, I don't know. I don't like most people, I guess.
Don't worry, bro. That means AI automation needs to be the route you head down.
Could be.
You just don't need to. You just don't need anyone. Just AI.
Yeah.
Absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Before we do go, brother, so from all of the variety of things that you've almost kind of dipped your toe in, what do you feel has been the biggest ROI out of them all?
In terms of profit, for me, it's still clients, because they send you 1,000, 2,000, or maybe, okay, let's start smaller. They send you $50 and it's $50 you can use. If you're on the e-commerce side, you already know if you got $50 and you need to give 40 of it away to shipping and all the things.
Yeah.
Well, I guess if you can do like your own video creation, YouTube, TikTok, those things, and you can earn significant money on that, that will be the greatest route you can take, but it's also the hardest to start with.
100%.
Yeah.
And I always kind of stress this to a lot of the students, right? If you go down just the purely creative route, which is, okay, I create content for myself or I create content for clients, like there comes a point where you don't actually need to invest anything more, right? Like, so the tools that I use now, practically the same tools that I use when I used to have clients that would pay me 1 or 2K. Yeah. Right? And it's absurd because the skill, you can increase its level just using the same tools. Like, for example, the $50 Adobe subscription that I have Photoshop, I have, Premiere Pro, After Effects. They're the same tools, right? They're the same tools I was using 10 years ago.
It's true.
So, yeah. And you made a very, very valid point there. Whereas, like, if you're going down the route of building your own business, or you're going down the route of e-commerce or anything along those lines, at some point you're always going to be reinvesting back into it. Like you said, like you might make $50, but then $40 now need to go back into getting everything up and running again. So that's another like key point, G's. When I get this a lot of new students come into the campus and they're like, oh, but Paul, why don't you tell us how to do this? And why don't you tell us how to do this? And I'm like, hey, geez, the courses are there for you to learn the fastest way to get to the money with the minimal amount of investment required. And that's the same with AI automation as well, geez. So it's really take heed of that.
I want to add to that as well, because if you are doing it for clients, like the first fast way to make money, you also you just keep working on that, but you get creative ideas while doing that, right? So you come across a lot of, well, if you're just searching for a small piece of video you want to implement in your video, it's really easy to get another idea from that. And if you get enough ideas of the same type, then you will create your own channel next to it, and you will keep going, do the two things next to each other. So you just, I guess the best advice would be do everything. But maybe that's wrong as well, because you need to focus on one thing, right? At the beginning.
No. So I'm a massive advocate of like, and if I was to give you any piece of advice, but it's totally up to you. You need to kind of ground yourself and figure out which do you enjoy the most out of all of these different things that you're doing. And then you need to just pull all of your energy and resource into that one thing. And I promise you will see a better ROI, right? Because I want you to understand, like at this present moment, you're problem solving for clients, you're problem solving for yourself in terms of your own brands and personal brands that you're building. You're problem solving in the e-com space. You're all of that mental power that you're using throughout the day. If you was to just redirect it in one area, you will see substantial growth, right? And that's why I always preach the one niche, one service. That's it.
No, it's true. I would love to go back to the time where I didn't need to do anything, right? So you can just choose whatever you want to do and just go for one thing and go all in. But yeah, when you progress, and especially in my situation, I have so much different things, different clients, different e-commerce, different content, informational websites I need to keep up to date. You don't really have the time to really sit down and plan a good strategy for one of all those things.
And so just to kind of interject there, right? Like I totally understand it, because I've got 3 kids as well. And this is something that I've not told previously, but let's talk about it, right?
It was new for me as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually am super glad that I went bankrupt. So I went bankrupt towards the latter end of my 20s, right? I lost a whole host of clients. The main business venture that I had, which was creation for clients, it just completely went flatline, right? And I had to build back up again with all the pressure that I had. And it was at that point that I actually said to myself, right, well, I'm only going to do one thing. And that's when I actually pivoted to ads. I was like, I'm going to create ads for people to help sell their products, whether it's digital, whether it's a physical product. And then that's what basically led me down the route that I'm into today, right? So a lot of students don't realize, like, I hit 1 million, lost, went to 0, and then went all the way back up again. And I had that ability to basically say, okay, well, I've lost everything now. There's no point me trying to build multiple businesses again, which is what I was doing, very similar to your style. And then I just went into just one. And then that's why I'm trying to give that learning back to students, because like I said, I understand your situation, but there's a lot of students in here who are 17, 18, and they're trying to do everything. And I'm just like, geez, I promise you, if you just do one thing and you really focus on it, because right now you think you've got responsibility, geez, you lot don't. I promise you, get married, have kids, then real responsibilities hit you, right? Then it's like you've got to find money from anywhere and everywhere to keep things going. So I truly understand your scenario, but you got to I'm telling you now, you got to find a way, you got to pick one, and you've got to put more effort in it. It will yield better results for you in the longer term, brother.
It's true. I had a similar experience. So my wife was still working a few years ago before I started the e-commerce brands. And she had to stop because of health and problems at the work. I just told her, please stop this work because it's not good for you. But I knew that I just was shy of a few thousand a month to be able to provide for everyone. And that's actually the reason why I started the e-commerce, because I know the hassle it is, I know the problems it gives. I didn't really want to, but because I knew I could do it, because I worked in the space, I had to do it. And that's also a moment where I focused on one thing for about 8 months. So I focused on that. I learned everything around the topics. And I just told myself, you have to create a product every day. You have to buy your new products every day in the evening. And of course, with that comes also packing the products. Or if you outsource it, it doesn't. But for me, it was. And that was also because I knew we hadn't enough money. There wasn't coming enough money in. So I needed to do something. And that's where my focus went to that, because I knew for me it was fast. I knew how to do it. And focus 8 months, and I went to 10K a month just because of the energy you put in, right? It's only one topic, energy at one place, and then it will go to higher levels.
Nice. All right, G. So, look, before we wrap up the podcast, what advice would you give to the students who are completely at zero? They're in the campus. What kind of guidance would you give them before we close off?
Create every day. Do things every day. I think I put on my LinkedIn a few times. I now try to, for new things, I try to do something 100 days. So for the real world, I'm also doing my push-ups for 100 days. But it also works with my e-commerce. It has worked with my content portfolio websites, informational website. It has worked. Do something 100 days straight, or at least 100 times, without any real pauses, and then you will see something has to happen if you dedicate yourself 100 times over and over again to do something. You have to see some type of movement, and that will inspire you to see more movement.
Nice. Bro, I truly appreciate you coming on. I look forward to catching up with you in the future. For G's who don't know, or you should at least know, we've started a new month. That means there will be a new leaderboard being published. I'm excited to see that. Watch out for that. Thank you. I appreciate you for coming on. Peace, G.
Thank you.